Greetings from LA, my dear friends. This is Daisuke, and I very much hope that this video finds you well and in very good spirits wherever you are in the world. And today, if you don't mind, I would very much like to continue on with our journeys, our discussions, our discoveries, and our explorations with respect to the recent releases made by the Criterion Collection during this year of 2023. And specifically, I'd like to focus our attention, if I may, on a film which can be found in a collector's set which has been designated by Criterion collectively at spine number 1197. And this set is right here, a multi-disc Blu-ray set, which is called Jackie Chan, Emergence of a Superstar. And we have been speaking about the films in this set. There are 6 feature films total included in this 4-disc Blu-ray set. And so today, if you don't mind, I'd like to focus our attention, if I may, on one such film. This is the third of the 6 films, and this is a work which is described as being from the year 1979, and the director is Jackie Chan. And the name of the work is, and please pardon me for my poor pronunciation, I hope you can forgive me, it is Xiu Kun Guai Jiu, or as it's known in English, The Fearless Hyena. This is the work which is described as being from the year 1979 with martial arts director Jackie Chan and the film director Jackie Chan, and with a cast that includes people like great performers like Yan Xikwan and James Chan, and starring Jackie Chan. And this is the work, and this is one of my favorite Jackie Chan films. And it's so wonderful to be able to revisit it again in the context of this Criterion Blu-ray set release. And I'm speaking of the film which is called The Fearless Hyena. So The Fearless Hyena is the third film that is part of this Criterion Blu-ray set, Jackie Chan, Emergence of a Superstar. And my goodness, what we see here is quite the emergence indeed in the context of the career trajectory of Jackie Chan. Not only, of course, do we have the continuation of the relationship, the collaboration between Jackie Chan and Lo Wei, or Lo Wai, which shall be entering into some pretty shaky waters when we talk, for instance, about the next film in this cycle, which is referred to in English as Fearless Hyena 2. But we also are talking about, in the context of this film, the film directed by Jackie Chan with martial arts director and choreography set up, arranged by, and with the creative impulses of Jackie Chan, and telling a really breathless story that is equal parts comedy and humor, and also quite a stern and solemn and quite dark element in terms of its martial arts story. Again, it's a historical martial arts story that is also about kind of growing up and training and loss and tragedy, as well as a type of hijinks that involves kung fu martial arts display, and also very theatrical qualities that allow for different types of characterizations and different types of play acting on the part of Jackie Chan and company, especially in the early parts of this film. So I think all in all, it is all-encompassing, and it stands as being one of the great examples of Jackie Chan's output during this period. It is very important, as I mentioned, because of the creative control that Jackie Chan is now exerting, quote unquote, officially and also unofficially, as well as telling a really compelling story that is equally balanced and, I think, well presented and quite thrilling indeed. And not to mention, of course, the fact that the martial arts choreography and the action stunt set pieces are brilliant, and they're brilliant in terms of the fight choreography and also the creativity with which some of the training sequences are displayed, creativity down to things like eating food with chopsticks or standing on pieces of pottery as well as fight sequences that are quite mind-blowing and out of this world. This is a wonderful example of the Jackie Chan filmography. Once again, one of my favorite Jackie Chan films, The Fearless Hyena. So if we were to try to describe the plot or story structure of The Fearless Hyena, we have the key relationship between Jackie Chan's character and the James Chan character in terms of the master grandfather and student relationship, the Sifu relationship. And they also seem to be in hiding because of events that we see unfurl at the very outset, even over the opening credits of the film. And so we understand that they are in hiding, and this is set against the backdrop of historical Qing dynasty politics and their own livelihoods. And kung fu or martial arts philosophy is under threat, which means that they have to go in hiding rather early, and the circumstances are shown rather early in the film. And this develops in terms of training in secret while maintaining a sense of safety, which could be burst at any given moment. But Jackie Chan's character, being young and being somewhat maybe somewhat of a innocent rascal type, finds through a certain set of happenstance and plot situations his way to a rather comedic situation involving a local school that is trying to set itself apart in terms of continuing competing martial arts rivalries. And so Jackie Chan's character appears and is seen to essentially save the day in terms of this school. But what this means, well, this means a couple of things. So first of all, this allows for Jackie Chan's character, and indeed Jackie Chan, the martial artist and performer and actor, to showcase a number of different characters in order to hide his identity, in order to hide also the fact that he is training in the specific type of martial arts kung fu. Because he doesn't want to incur the wrath of his master grandfather, Sifu grandfather, but also for reasons that will become somewhat revealed somewhat later in the film. But he wants to hide his identity while still trying to make a kind of name for himself in this kung fu arena while also making some money. And so this allows for a type of a buffoonish quality to come out in the open, but also to showcase his kung fu prowess for the school and the students and the society to see to a certain degree anyway. And so it allows for various situations such as hiding his identity through different sets of, say, costume or the like. Even there's a very famous or infamous scene, depending on one's viewpoint, I suppose, in terms of him appearing dressed up as a woman and engaging in fighting with a rival person. And there is a type of starstruck quality that this rival person seems to be having towards Jackie Chan as Jackie Chan appears in this situation, which is also, we were reminded in terms of the commentary track, which is part of this Criterion release. We're also reminded how this has its traditional links with acting and certain theater roles that were very prominent in, say, Peking opera. And speaking of Peking opera, we are reminded of Jackie Chan's own biographical background in terms of Peking opera and his training and background. And we see a lot of the Peking opera stylings in other aspects of this early part of the film, and some of the combat scenes as well, that are very choreographed, very stylized, but also dealing with a lot of creativity that has an air of theatricality to it, which again is, we understand, in many ways too, borrowing from Peking opera traditions. So there's a lot of this theatricality on display, and that could be said also to be focusing in on a lot of Jackie Chan's own background in terms of his training and athletic prowess. But the plot then turns quite deadly and quite dark when we realize that the threat that was facing the grandfather Sifu and Jackie Chan and company, and indeed the surviving members of this clan very early on, we realize that this threat is still very present, and indeed not just present, but on the attack and on the hunt, to the point where the livelihoods of Jackie Chan and Master Sifu grandfather and others are the livelihoods, and their lives are in quite serious danger. And Jackie Chan's character realizes that he has created, or he has committed, some grave sins and grave errors that have cost people around him quite dearly because of his early goings on, and his need for getting money, and his need for a type of superficial sense of stardom, as it were. And so he is in many ways given a new lease on life, and a new chance at trying to not just redeem himself, but defend his honor, defend his own livelihood and stake, and try to exact a type of retribution against those who have wronged him. And the villains in this piece are very villainous and very skilled, incredibly skilled. And we see the evil techniques and the physically harmful techniques that the villains indeed showcase very early on in the film. And so they pose a real strong threat against Jackie Chan and company. But Jackie Chan and company also have the ability to regroup and retrain, hopefully as a means of trying to wage a counteroffensive against the villains who have so wronged them over the course of most of the film. And so here we have the opportunity for a type of training montage, or the ability to train. And this is one of the great things about martial arts films in the hands of great performers like Jackie Chan. We have lovely creative moments of training, and the master apprentice relationship that is shown, especially in the maybe the second and final acts of the film. Without giving away too many details, these training montages oftentimes involve very creative uses of props, even down to things like chopsticks or bowls, or works of pottery, and also some really almost death-defying feats of acrobatic prowess that are showcased too in the martial arts action fight choreography. So this is indeed, I think, part of the reason why this film excels in all facets of type of martial arts entertainment in the Jackie Chan vein. And I should also point out too that the physical prowess of Jackie Chan on display here is really remarkable and extraordinary. We see not just these very creative bouts of training montage, but we also see the physical, the extent physically to which Jackie Chan, as a performer and as a prime specimen of physical accomplishment, because of his physique, is shown. His muscular physique is very impressive, and not only do we see his muscular physique on display in terms of his training and also in the actual fighting, but we also see just the extent to which, the real extreme extent to which Jackie Chan as a performer is putting his body on the line, in a manner of speaking. We see the veins in his neck as he's exerting so much energy. We see the sweat and the puffed up cheeks and the redness of his face as he's really putting everything on the line for a particular dramatic moment of the film, a pulse or a heartbeat. And we also see too some very creative and funny gestures in the vein of the expression of kung fu and martial arts in this film. And not only do you see various animal forms, techniques that are espoused in this film in terms of the kung fu and martial arts philosophies that are part of the characters here, but we also see some interesting, almost psychoanalytical aspects to kung fu, a type of emotional dynamics that are on display, expressions of martial arts in the form of different forms of emotions like anger, laughter, happiness, etc., which is employed, I think, to a very dramatic and creative effect, and thus allowing too for the performers, Jackie Chan in particular, to showcase this great mixture of athletic prowess on the one hand, and comedic timing that has this range of broad physical comedy that is so appealing, and that has ways of showcasing and manipulating and warping the body to the effect of really giving the audience its money's worth in terms of ticket sales and going to the movie theater and really having a good time. The Fearless Hyena is one of the most exciting Jackie Chan films, in my opinion. It's so much fun. It's so exhilarating. It's very dramatic. And when the film takes its dramatic turns, it really goes for the jugular. Metaphorically and directly speaking, it really goes for it. And as I mentioned before, the scenes have this sharp edged quality to it, sometimes going really dark and quite violent all of a sudden, but always maintaining the sense of the Jackie Chan air of entertaining theatricality and accessibility that has its forms of giving us wonderful, exhilarating martial arts exhibitions, but always with a wink and a smile and a nod, and also giving us the understanding and realization that he's putting his very all on screen. And indeed, the rest of the performers are giving their very all when it comes to this film, The Fearless Hyena. I should also point out, too, Jackie Chan's direction and also the way in which certain scenes are shot, certain shots are composed, certain lenses are used. There's some really interesting ways of lens warping that has a nice stylish effect. There are also some really interesting scenes involving almost a cartoon-like violence quality, especially early on when Jackie Chan's character is confronted after a little bit of a gambling adventure goes awry in certain ways, causing a kind of a confrontation to occur in a dirt road on the outskirts. So there's some interesting bouts of, say, cartoon violence and humor. That also goes for some real interesting different planes of entertainment, which I think is a hallmark of Jackie Chan's films, especially in this early, say, period of his film, as exemplified early period of his filmography, excuse me, as exemplified by this period, the emergence of a superstar. As we've seen in previous films in this set, we've seen many different types of genres or many tones combined in a single film. Sometimes comic, sometimes quite grave and serious, sometimes suddenly very violent, sometimes very cartoon violence, but sometimes very brutal, almost raw, a Street Fighter type of violence. And I think a similar type of vibe is struck here in this film, The Fearless Hyena, in a really wonderful, well balanced way. The the danger and the threat is very palpable and very upfront, and it's expressed so early on. A lot of the grammar of the fights is also expressed early on, thus to give us, the viewer, the opportunity to see some of these deadly deadly moves in action, and then we understand that these deadly moves are still within the fighting acumen of the villains as they very slowly but surely make their way towards our hero throughout the course of the film. And so that adds a sense of threat, menace, and suspense. But also confronting that are moments of levity and charm and quality and lightness that I think is part of the Jackie Chan aesthetic and also the Jackie Chan on-screen persona. So it's all here, and though some of the finishing moves are quite entertaining and funny and uncomfortable and all in all so absorbing and such a great time at the movies that, as I mentioned, The Fearless Hyena is one of my absolute favorites in the Jackie Chan canon, and I'm so glad it's here, included in the set for purposes of this Criterion Collection release. So this is the work which is called The Fearless Hyena. The Criterion Collection has released this film, Fearless Hyena, as part of this Blu-ray set, Jackie Chan Emergence of a Superstar. And it is the first film on the second Blu-ray disc. Once again, this is a 4-disc Blu-ray set. And so the 6 films are spread out over such Blu-rays. This happens to be the first film on Blu-ray disc number 2, which is what I have in the player. And so the 2 films on such Blu-ray disc number 2, by the way, are The Fearless Hyena and Fearless Hyena 2. So when you put the disc into the machine, you can select one of 2 films, and which is what I have here, and it brings you to the menu. And among things that are set forth in the menu, let me share with you the audio options that are made available. Audio options are indicated as original monaural Cantonese, 5.1 surround Cantonese, English dubbed monaural, and a commentary track. Now we'll talk about the commentary track momentarily, but let me also point your attention to the booklet, and the booklet has, among other things, notes about the master on page 28, and I quote, "Digital restorations of Half a Loaf of Kung Fu, Spiritual Kung Fu, The Fearless Hyena, Fearless Hyena 2, The Young Master, and My Lucky Stars were created from the 35mm original camera negatives, with Half a Loaf of Kung Fu mastered in high definition and the other 5 features mastered in 2K resolution. Scanning for all the films was performed on an Aeroscan film scanner. The original monaural theatrical mixes and original English dubbed tracks, when available, were provided by collectors dedicated to the proper preservation of Hong Kong cinema, while the 5.1 and 2.0 Cantonese tracks were made from optical soundtracks." Excuse me. So, like the other Jackie Chan film discussions that are part of the set, I think it is safe to say that while this is, I think, a very sound and very reliable set from Criterion, I don't think it purports to be in any way a be-all, end-all Jackie Chan film release. There are a number of very formidable and very reliable releases that have been made of these Jackie Chan films prior to the Criterion Collection release. And so if you have a very good stock of Jackie Chan films in your physical media library, chances are it might be quite possible that this Criterion set is something that you may not necessarily need, especially when considering that there might be some commentary tracks or other supplements that have been included elsewhere, but for whatever reason aren't included as part of this overall package. And if you feel that way, that's very fair, very, very fair indeed. I should point out, however, that this Criterion set I think is very good because it does have, as I say, a number of the Jackie Chan films in one go, as it were, focusing in on the early component of his career. Not all of the landmark films, even in this early part of his career, are included here, but I think a really well selected representation is included here, including The Fearless Hyena. And also, this set could be seen to be as well for those who might be interested in coming to the world of Jackie Chan for the first time, dipping one's toe in the Jackie Chan entertainment waters, so to speak. I think this is a good opportunity for those who might be interested. It does have a great selection, and it does have a wonderful presentation of these films, again, for those who might be interested. Now, what I'd like to point your attention to is the supplements which are part of the Fearless Hyena release. Now, they don't come in their own separate, say, supplements submenu on the Blu-ray, but what we do get is the commentary track and trailers. Before we get to the commentary track, let me just point your attention to the 2 trailers. They're really great, the theatrical trailer and the home video trailer, although they do reveal some aspects of the climax of the film, but all in all, I think they're really memorable trailers. But I do want to point your attention to this commentary track. And it's described here as, "This commentary track, recorded in 2023, features Hong Kong cinema expert and producer Frank Zheng, Enter the Clones of Bruce. To listen to the commentary while viewing the movie, press the audio key on your remote at any time." This is a 2023 commentary track. It's my first time to listen to this commentary track, and I think it's absolutely splendid. This is a fantastic, strong commentary track. I loved it from start to finish. I learned so much about this. It covers so much ground. Frank Cheng is an expert, and you can tell he is so knowledgeable about this film and Jackie Chan films overall. So much, such a big fan of this film. It's great to hear the enthusiasm as well as the expertise and knowledge that is shown through the entirety of this. This is 1,000% recommended if you have the opportunity to listen to this. This is fantastic. Talking about details surrounding, for instance, the relationship, the professional working relationship between Jackie Chan and James Tien, also between Lo Wei and Jackie Chan as well, including the falling out, the very infamous falling out between the two that is surrounding specifically details regarding the shooting of the picture Fearless Hyena 2 and the breach of contract and relying on maybe certain criminal underworld elements to try to put some pressure points on one side versus the other, etc. So it's a very infamous falling out, and this commentary track I think does a lot to service a lot of the details and the reasons behind this, and also some of the personalities that are involved here. So really well done in this regard. I should point out too that therefore this commentary track, while it's primarily focusing in on the film The Fearless Hyena, it could be said to be also touching upon certain details of Fearless Hyena 2, as well as other films. The other film that's in the collection, which is called Half a Loaf of Kung Fu in English. It doesn't really speak about any of the other films like Spiritual Kung Fu necessarily, but it does focus a little bit about these other films. So it is extending beyond the boundaries of a discussion of the Fearless Hyena, while of course primarily focusing on a discussion of Fearless Hyena. And my goodness, it does so in such a wonderful and splendid way. Also talking about, in the context of this film, Fearless Hyena, aspects of Qing Dynasty politics and culture, the dress and the hairstyles, etc., which is also part of the decor of the plot of this film, by the way, and also aspects of language and use of language and phrases that are used. Again, I'm not at all fluent in the language, so this type of commentary is so valuable, and I learned so much about this. Also, aspects about Jackie Chan as a director, the way shots are framed, certain lenses are used, how zooms are used, which is similar yet different to how they've been used in previous, say, films starring Jackie Chan, but not necessarily directed by Jackie Chan before. And so this is also showing the creative control that was really necessary in order to further the career of Jackie Chan in the way that we now see it has been progressing. And then also other details too, like Peking opera style, Cantonese opera style, and also aspects of the film that might be seen by some to be maybe politically incorrect or maybe somewhat insensitive, but the commentary, I think, does a really great job in explaining certain contextual values and how contemporary audiences in Hong Kong might have responded based on, say, understanding of certain ways in which Peking opera traditions, for instance, are displayed in the modern day Hong Kong cinema sensibilities. So it's a very, I think, well-rounded and quite balanced and very deep and wonderfully expressed commentary track. One of the strongest commentary tracks, and I'm so pleased that it's here. It makes me wish that there were commentary tracks included for all the films in the set, but the fact that we get it here, it still calls for celebration. So wonderful job to be able to include this exceptional commentary track for purposes of this film, The Fearless Hyena. And let me close this conversation by referring your attention very briefly to the wonderful booklet once again. This booklet includes, among other things, a comprehensive essay, which we will talk about in a little bit more detail in a separate video. But the essay is called Bugs Bunny in the Shaolin Temple. While it is a comprehensive essay, it does touch upon aspects of the Fearless Hyena. So it might be worth checking out. But also, speaking of the Fearless Hyena, on pages 6 and 7, we do have some pages devoted to the Fearless Hyena, pictures, and also a write-up on the film, as well as cast and crew details, so just for your information. But we will talk about these and other details about the packaging and the set writ large in a separate video. But for now, my dear friends, that is a brief discussion on this wonderful epic film. Again, one of my favorites in the Jackie Chan film canon. It is this work, which is The Fearless Hyena. So please check it out if you can. Great film. All right, my dear friends, so that's it for now. So until we meet again, please be happy and healthy and well. And please keep on watching a lot of great movies, including The Fearless Hyena, including other films in the Jackie Chan film canon, including other films in the Criterion collection, and beyond. So until the next video, my dear friends, stay strong, stay safe, and cheers.